Alright, so before I get into this review, I just want to make a few things clear. Number one, I love Pokemon. Seems pretty obvious, I know, but it needs to be said. It is a rare day when I am disappointed by even the dumbest sounding Pokemon spin-off, so keep that in mind. Number two, just because I criticize a game a lot does not mean I didn't enjoy it. The point of these videos is to go in depth about what makes each generation of Pokemon special or different, okay? Number three, if you hold the 4th generation of Pokemon on a pedestal as gaming perfection, don't bother watching this video. I don't know how many of these people actually exist, but if you are coming here for me to discuss how absolutely perfect Generation 4 was, you might be a little disappointed. But if you are brave enough, try to stick around anyways and let me know if you agree or disagree with what I say in the comments. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get started. So before I begin with the main segment, I just want to say the 4th generation of Pokemon was quite revolutionary in a lot of ways. For instance, it was the first Pokemon generation on the Nintendo DS, which allowed for built-in wireless and Wi-Fi functionality. This opened up Pokemon to the entire world for online battling and trading. With that being said, I can't really give points to Generation 4 for this because it's not really the previous generation's fault their systems didn't support this type of hardware. But it was quite the game changer at the time, and props to Nintendo and Game Freak for making it work in such a good way. Alright, so let's get to what you all came here for. What Generation 4 gets right? We'll start at the top. This is the most obvious one. The best thing that this generation gets right is the physical special split of moves. And it is single-handedly the best thing about this generation. Finally, Game Freak wises up and realizes that they need to split moves based on the type of move, not the actual type. A punch to the face shouldn't be considered special just because my hand is on fire. This change completely modified the usefulness of certain Pokemon and was well needed. Nice one, Game Freak. The Pokemon. Okay, so I put this in the good category of the review, but you'll see I did have some problems with many of the Pokemon from this generation. But overall, I really liked most of them and thought they were well done. Plenty of the designs were simple yet charming, and it really paid off. I can't really describe the style of Generation 4 Pokemon as well as I could Generation 3, but to be sure, they are unlike any of the previous generations, which could be a problem for some things, but we'll get to that. Random Pokemon Generation. So by this I mean they added a lot of new ways to catch Pokemon, which I really enjoyed. Swarms, the Pokeradar, the Mansion, Game Boy Advance Insertion, and many other ways all found creative paths to definitely improve the collecting aspect of Pokemon. It just made it more fun than running around the same spot of grass for hours. Added some character to catching Pokemon. There were a lot of cool new evolution methods. As opposed to simply leveling up your Pokemon or trading it to evolve, Generation 4 offered some new unique evolution methods. Now maybe your Pokemon had to be a certain gender, had to hold a specific item while leveling up, or had to level up around some strange object, or one of many other possibilities. Again, this enhanced the collecting aspect of this generation by providing some dynamism and mystery to evolution. Great new moves. So many fantastic new moves which really improve the competitive aspect of Pokemon as a whole. There are honestly too many to name, so go and check out a list on Cerebi or Bulbapedia or something if you want. A lot of these moves are absolute staples in competitive online play now. The Safari Zone. Well, they had one. It was original in the aspect of using a central train to move between areas, which I enjoyed. Other than that, it was fairly standard, but I'm glad they had it at least unlike Generation 2. In-game event Pokemon. Along with new evolution methods came fun new ways of getting some cool Pokemon, like getting Riolu, Spiritomb, Manaphy, Cresselia, Regigigas, or Heatran, even though Arceus event was unfortunately removed as an in-game feature, which was a real shame. All these Pokemon are really fun to catch. The event Pokemon were fairly cool as well. Again, this further improved the collection aspect of the Pokemon series. Better breeding mechanics. Well, it's really just one thing, and that's your Pokemon now hatch at level 1, which makes a lot more sense than hatching them at level 5. Poketch, how do you pronounce this thing? Anyway, it was pretty cool to have, although all of my memories involving it were just using it as a step counter to hatch eggs, or keeping it going the entire game to see how many steps I took, which was pretty cool. Time of day. A really great feature that they not only brought back, but improved by splitting the times of day up further. This allowed for a more dynamic feel to catching Pokemon that might only come out at morning or on a specific day of the week. Tons of new items. More of the same like with new moves. These new items really improved and changed the competitive limits on what you could do with your Pokemon team setup. Too many to list, so go and check some out if you aren't familiar with them. So that was a relatively short portion of my review, the what Generation 4 gets right. That might be some indication of what's about to come. And now let's move on to what Generation 4 gets wrong. And at the top of the list, the thing that ruins the game speed and pacing. By far the biggest problem I have with this generation. Maybe Game Freak thought Generation 3 was too fast. So in response, I actually decided to kill any sort of feeling of speed or progress a player might have felt while playing this game. It seriously feels like it takes an eternity to complete. Maybe that has something to do with the time theme? And every single Pokemon you run into or battle will take much, much longer than it would have in Generation 3. This really destroys any notion you might have had about wanting to replay this game, and I don't blame you if you agree. Why spend hours and hours making little to no progress when you could be at somewhere like Lava Ridge in Generation 3 by now? I remember specifically using an inordinate amount of repels in this generation because running into a wild Pokemon felt like a chore as opposed to an adventure like it should. Too many goddamn evolutions. Seriously, what the hell, Game Freak? Why did every Pokemon and its mom under the sun need an evolution this generation? Surely it would have been easier to just alter the stats of an underpowered Pokemon a bit. It's really excessive. I actually went and counted by hand the amount of Pokemon related to previous generations released in this generation of Pokemon, and it came out to something like 31% of all the Pokemon released in this generation were somehow related to other generations. That's absurd. Also, many of these evolutions simply did not fit their previous stage at all in terms of design or concept. It just felt lazy in my opinion. The game developers were only too eager to make Pokemon bigger and stronger and have more stuff on them and blah blah blah, rather than create new Pokemon from simple original ideas, which they did at times but not enough. They were also really hit or miss as well, in my opinion. Like they would either look terrific and fulfill a much needed evolutionary gap, or look like utter garbage and not fill any necessary void. Did Magneton really need an evolution? I mean, he was already well used in all the previous generations. Like, I can understand Pokemon like Nosepass and Roselia, but were Electabuzzes, Magmars, Gardevoirs, and many other evolutions necessary? It made no sense at times. Come on, Game Freak. Okay, so kind of pigging off the back of that point, going along with the theme of lack of creativity comes clones. Right, so I get the idea that some Pokemon look similar from region to region to fulfill an environmental niche or role, and I buy that. It makes sense, especially in evolutionary terms, which Pokemon is trying to follow. I'm not criticizing that. But when some Pokemon look like direct copies of previous Pokemon, it just adds to the lazy feeling I get from the Pokemon designers. Turtwig's line, although I love Turtwig, is just a clone of Bulbasaur's. Torterra and Venusaur might as well be long lost brothers. Luxray feels like Game Freak was like, right, Electric looks pretty cool, let's make another one. And don't get me started on Infernape's line. No, you know what, fuck it, let's start there. The starters. Why in God's name did Game Freak think it was okay to make Blaziken 2.0 via Infernape literally a generation afterwards? Why are there back-to-back firefighting starters? The other starters had cool unique typings. What the hell? And not only that, but going off the theme of making Pokemon ever increasingly stronger, faster, and better, they decided to make Infernape better than an already overpowered Blaziken. Yeah, good one. As for the rest of these starters, I don't really have too many complaints. It's a shame actually because I really like the first stage of each starter. But the Venusaur and Blaziken clones feel lazy, and I don't like it one bit. Also, who designed that stupid looking monkey? That blue unibrow looks so out of place. It throws me off every time I see it. Completely ruined the design in my opinion. Listen, Pep-Up line. I'm sorry, but your friends are holding you down, man. You really have a great line. Find a new generation. Alright, enough of that rant. Let's just move on. The legendaries. Before I start, I'll say that I like some of these legendaries. and they were welcome additions to the table. But there were too many new legendaries. They didn't feel legendary anymore. Out of the 106 new Pokemon, 15 were legendaries, and that's not even including Riolu and Lucario, which are sort of in a gray area in my opinion, what with the whole movie about them. I mean, does Shaman look rare to you, or does it just look like some shrub? Do you want a washing machine or a lawnmower to complete your Pokedex? No, not really. Not only did they not feel rare, but they looked like crap for the most part too. I mean, just look at the cover legendaries, for example, Dialga and Palkia. Garbage designs and color schemes in my opinion. Like, I didn't care too much for Groudon and Kyogre, but those two really take the cake. What are they supposed to be anyways? One looks like a donkey, and the other, well, I'm not sure, just a jumbled mess. Oh yeah, and the cherry on top. How could you get bigger, faster, stronger Pokemon than by making a literal god Pokemon? Like he's literally God in the Pokemon universe. Jesus. Oh, and we're gonna make an even bigger, stronger version of the previous generation's legendaries, specifically the Regis, through Regigigas. Fuck you. Do you see how this is getting out of hand? Ugh. I just want to stop this review here, but I'll have to press on. Give me a sec to cool down or something, because the majority of my rant is over. Okay. Okay. Pokemon Super Contest. Anyways, let's get back on track. Why they continue to move away from the incredibly fun Pokemon contests like the ones in Ruby and Sapphire continues to baffle me. No, I don't want to spend hours putting a flower on my Pokemon, or giving it some stupid hat or something. I'm genuinely surprised and happy that Game Freak didn't go the route of microtransactions to buy hats for this one. It would have genuinely been the death bell for Pokemon as a series. Replacing the Pokeblock minigame with pop and spinning. This really goes with the last theme. Did people really not like the Pokeblock minigame or the Pokemon contest? Because I legitimately thought they were really fun, and I added a fun side mission to the main drag. Please tell me I'm not alone here in the comments. An increased shiny chance. So not only do legendaries feel less rare, shinies do as well. With new catching techniques using swarms or something, there are ways to legitimately increase your chance of getting shiny Pokemon in this generation. I don't mean to sound like an old man, but back in my day, catching a shiny meant something. Now it seems like online everyone has a fucking shiny Mew or some shit. Pokeball seals. I genuinely forgot about this one because I never used them and they never really continued with this. So, yeah. Not much to say here. If you like them, well, good on you. Sorry they removed them, but I totally forgot about them honestly until I was researching for my review. Forgettable, world, gyms, elite four, story, music, etc. Okay. Before you start mashing on your keyboard and telling me how wrong I am, hear me out in the conclusion. Overall, Generation 4 brought a lot of new and exciting things to the table, but it could have been so much better. The biggest problem really seems to ruin everything around it. The game speed is way too slow, which really diminishes the generation's replayability. And that means a lot of the areas, gyms, battles, and Pokemon are pretty forgettable, simply because it really takes a toll to do a single playthrough, and if you don't play the game a lot, you forget stuff about it. I think I've only completely replayed my Diamond version once, and I remember that was because I was just so tired of playing Ruby over and over again that I needed a little change of pace. I'm going to warn you now. If you go from playing the fastest generation to the slowest generation, you're going to have an even rougher time than normal to adjust to the game speed. Repels are absolutely necessary, because running into a Starly and then running away feels like it takes an entire 30 seconds. That's ridiculous. Generation 4 also started the horrible, seemingly never-ending trend of giving existing Pokemon bigger and stronger forms. It's fine if done in moderation, but they really went over the top. Like, I really like some of them, and it helped give some Pokemon a competitive chance. But, and I think this is a problem that is also characterized by Mega Evolutions in Generation 6, people really need to calm down with asking for more, and more, and more. Not every Pokemon needs to have 4 stages, especially Pokemon who already dominate the competitive scene. Not only that, but because some of these evolutions come way after the Pokemon concept was originally designed, their new stage doesn't fit the Pokemon's design at all, or it just looks like complete garbage. Many of the new Pokemon just reeked of lazy design, and trying to cram as much onto a Pokemon sprite as possible. It really just feels lazy and uncreative to me when almost a third of the new Pokemon are evolutions or pre-evolutions for Pokemon already made. So enough of that ranting, let's cut to the chase. So I'm going to have to rate Generation 4 overall a 6 out of 10. What? Yeah, I still like the game, obviously. I've played it through twice, and it's Pokemon at the end of the day, so it still had a lot of the essentials right. Also, the global battling and trading was quite fun, and a 6 out of 10 is still a good rating. But it has its problems, and as I'm sure you realized by listening to my long rant if you've actually stuck around this whole time. So for the series, I'm going to rate it 5th out of 6. Honestly, it might have been lower, but I have no idea where to put Generation 6 yet as I've not played it. But it probably will be 6 out of 6. Oh well. Thanks for listening if you've actually made it this far. I hope my ranting wasn't too much to handle. Let me know what you think about Generation 4 in the comments. Was I too harsh on it? Stay tuned for my next Generation review of Generation 5. But at this point I might have to take a break for a bit anyways. This isn't good for my health.